Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the webinar on Dr. Tabor Smith. On behalf of Genesis Chiropractic Software, I'm honored to introduce our guest this week. We have Dr. DelRae Messer, and I have personally been really looking forward to this interview. She has some great marketing tips. She has an amazing website. She's into weight loss, detox. She's going to tell us about that in just a second. But first, what I want to do is turn it over to you, Dr. DelRae. And I know for most of our audience, you probably need no introduction. But for some of those out there who maybe have not heard of you before, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you do what you do.
Well, I grew up in southwestern North Dakota on a family farm, so that definitely makes me who I am. I learned hard work ethic at a really young age, and I also learned that I loved health and wellness. I knew I wanted to go into chiropractic very young because I had a close family friend that was a chiropractor, and I knew that nutrition and athletic performance related. I was actually a long-distance runner, cross-country and track, and went on to run at Fargo in North Dakota. Don't ask me why I chose the coldest place on the planet to run outside, but I did.
Nice.
So I loved nutrition from day one and fitness and prevention. So I got my love there and then went to Minneapolis, to Northwestern to graduate school. And I had a little girl when I was just talking to you about this before we started the Hangout. She's definitely the reason why I have so much passion for marketing and education. I started school with a 3-month-old as a single mom. So we all remember T1 through T3 being absolutely crazy, but throw in a newborn with that, and it was absolutely nuts. But I knew also from a young age that success leaves clues. So I went to work for some of the best chiropractors in Minneapolis, and I told them, I go, I will pay you to teach me what you're doing to be so successful, because I know there's a reason. So I ended up doing a lot of their marketing, nutrition, exams, detox, all of that stuff in their office. And when I was done with school, I was ready to go. So I started a practice with another gentleman, and we had a rockin' practice, and I did a lot of the nutrition and exercise, fitness, detox within the practice as well as the marketing. So I learned a lot of grassroots way, and I call it, guerrilla marketing, very low-cost ways of getting your name out and marketing and really getting internal referrals from that experience. So I absolutely love, and my passion is definitely teaching people how to be their healthiest and happiest.
Awesome. I look forward to learning today, and if you don't mind, before we get into you telling us what you do, I want to share a little story with you. This actually happened to me yesterday. The chief of nurses here in Houston, I practice in Houston, the chief of nurses at one of the largest hospitals in Houston is a regular patient in my office. He comes every week to get adjusted, and you probably heard stories like this, but he told me that the hospital that he's in is so packed that they have no more room for patients. There's beds in the hallway. They're building a new hospital 2 miles from that one. And so I asked him, I said, so, there's a lot of trauma we're in Houston. He said, no. He said, not trauma. It's chronic health conditions. It's people with abdominal pains, heart attacks. He said, you should see our obesity in our office, in our hospital. It's crazy. And he said, these aren't elderly people either. The average age is from 30 to 50. That's the average age of patient in their hospital right now. I mean, our society is dying. We have horrible health, and so that's why every one of us as chiropractors, we know there's a component to the subluxation, a toxin component to the subluxation, but there's I believe we're responsible for educating also about healthy lifestyles. I really think that presenting this to our patients and sharing and learning some of this can change the world.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you shared that with me. I was just actually downtown speaking to a juice company. They want somebody to kind of be the face of their company to help them market, and they said, what better person than a chiropractor? How cool is that? They know that we're into wellness and prevention, and finally I think we have that recognition of being trusted and credible to kind of lead this wellness revolution. And I was just speaking to them about what you just said. I think that we all know that it's bad. As chiropractors, we get that. We know statistics. We know all the statistics for heart disease and cancer, and I think we almost get immune to it because we preach it so much to our patients, and we're on such the opposite end of the spectrum that we don't see it every day. And my sister is a nurse, and she said the same thing to me. You don't see how really bad it is on a day-to-day basis. And
Right.
the thing that really bothers me probably the most is that, yes, it's 30-year-olds to 50-year-olds with all of these chronic health conditions, and it's horrible. That is obviously something we want to change. But most importantly, what legacy are they leaving behind?
Right. No, it's absolutely right. I mean, if you're thinking, 30 to 50, all of those people are the parents to the next generation, and they are the role models. They're teaching their kids. So imagine if ages 30 to 50 are as bad as they are right now. My goodness, what's the next generation going to look like?
And I said that.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah.
I said that's the toughest thing for me to swallow. When I speak to people, age 30 to 50, I said, I don't want to mislead you, but to be completely honest, the reason that I want you to change is because I want to get to your kids. I want your kids to have an amazing role model so that they can grow up healthy and happy, because that's not happening right now. We have the sickest generation of kids that we've ever had in history, and it really isn't fair to them because they aren't taught the proper things. They're not given the proper things. I just had a little girl come over the other day. I have a 10-year-old now. My daughter is 10, and a 13-month-old. And the 10-year-old had a friend over that literally had never tried a vegetable. And she ate, I think, 2 different kinds of fruit. So she came to my house and she goes, "What do you have to eat?" I go, "This is what we have to eat. I'm not going anywhere else to get you food. You get to try different things." But this is the problem, is that parents have allowed this to happen. We've created this culture where they say, "Oh, my kids won't try anything else, or won't try anything, or won't eat fruits and vegetables." Like, no, you've taught them that way. They will never listen if they're seeing you do something else than what you're telling them to do. So this nutrition piece of the puzzle, exercise, toxicity piece, I think is more important now than it ever has been, especially in chiropractic, because we deal with these 3 components of stress, and this chemical stressor is so huge now. I mean, if we are exposed to over 80,000 different kinds of chemicals in our environment alone, and our kids are being exposed to more and more of those. So it has to be addressed in some way. The only problem is that there's a lot of confusion about what will work. And if you're not talking to your patients and your clients about this, somebody else is. Walmart is, GNC is, an infomercial is, because people know that there is this component and that they're toxic and inflamed and they don't feel well. I don't know anybody that has the amount of energy that they want to have. Even chiropractors. I was just speaking at a seminar a couple months ago, and I said, raise your hand if you are the fittest, healthiest, and happiest that you have ever been in your entire life. And I think maybe 2 people raised their hands. So for me, if we are also not role modeling and we're not the fittest and healthiest that we've been, there's a problem with that. If our diet isn't on point, I think there's some incongruency there, and we need to really correct that in order for us to really, truly maximize our potential in our office. It starts with you first. I mean, talk about all the marketing tips in the world. If you aren't changed from the inside out, you won't attract your ideal patient. You will keep attracting your incongruencies.
Right. Absolutely. Well, that's a great segue, because here's where I see the pain, as a chiropractor, and I think a lot of other chiropractors feel this, is that, we have a hard enough time reaching people with the message of chiropractic, but although we see people dying of malnutrition, basically overweight and eating too much and still dying of malnutrition out there, but what can we do? And where would you, as far as your recommendations on how do we get started helping people with this, or does and maybe it starts with us, but what are some tips and strategies on getting started if you're a chiropractor out there and you're like, I want to do this, I want to help, I want to start changing my patients' lives and through nutrition and detox or whatever, but I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I created my detox system. I was definitely only marketing chiropractic at a certain point in my practice. I would market chiropractic, bring them in and then educate them about nutrition and detox and exercise. when I realized that if you give people what they want and then educate them on what they need, it works amazing. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't compete with the amount of marketing that's done on a global scale for weight loss products, nutraceuticals, as we know, pharmaceuticals, all of these things that people are marketed to. You can't compete with that. But what you can do is give them what they want. And they want to feel better. They want to lose weight. They want to have more energy. And that's fine. Who doesn't want those things? We want those things. So if we're trying to market just chiropractic and this wellness-based paradigm up front, yeah, people want to be well, but sometimes they don't want to even think about how much work that's going to take.
Yes.
So if you give them what they want, which is weight loss and feeling better, and market that, bring them in, and then educate them on what they need, it's a night and day difference in marketing and new patients and people that actually want to come in and see you. So I think when I switched that, the light bulb went off, and I had some barriers. I think it was, do I have enough philosophy if I'm marketing this and then educating them on chiropractic? I think I was holding myself back because I had a lot of, like I said, barriers to that. But then I realized, you know what? If I'm not going to do it, then they're going to go get that supplement from GNC or Walmart or something that's just crap. And we know it. And actually, I could talk for hours and hours about nutraceuticals and how just ridiculous the whole business is, because I immersed myself in it, and that's why I created my detox system. Is I wanted something with the highest quality ingredients that actually is a great jump start for people to really change their nutrition. I mean, at the end of the day, if somebody chose to not take a supplement ever again for the rest of their life and just eat whole foods and healthy, I would prefer that time and time again, but unfortunately that doesn't happen. So this is a great segue to say, here is something which, you know what percentage of it is people just believing finally or having a placebo effect that this is helping. And it's like I said, it's a jump start. It's a meal replacement. It's a good inflammation reducer, and it's just a great way for them to get rid of cravings and get started on a whole food nutrition program that they can have and manage for the rest of their life. So, you know, a great way to get started is really, it's me. I love helping people. That's why I created it. So my detox system comes with my book, and the book really outlines how to implement a whole food lifestyle, gluten-free. I have over 100 gluten-free recipes. I'm going to be doing more webinars to teach people really how to implement change. Because at the end of the day, as you and I know, there's thousands and thousands of supplements, diet programs, exercise programs. I mean, you can put that into Google and come back with a million different things. But what's the difference? It's actually taking this, it's action. It's taking a step and doing something. And I think that's where the wave of the future is when it comes to nutrition and exercise and just wellness in general, is people implementing these changes, because obviously what we're doing isn't working.
Right. Well, let me ask you this before we get into the specifics of the program. How do you, because we're talking about marketing, we're talking about getting out there and reaching more people, how do you do it yourself, or how do you recommend docs do it? I know you do a lot of presentations and a lot of talks. Is that kind of through the method through your marketing and how you pull people into the health and wellness and then introduce the detox, or how does that work?
Yeah, I absolutely love presentations. I guess, you know, speaking is my passion. I love educating, and I love seeing people face to face, and I love that energy and that presence of people actually being there. So I learned, you know, a lot of great tools and tips to get into small businesses, to do either lunch and learns or talks, and corporations. So I've been talking a lot on different coaching groups on how to actually go about doing that. I do have a manual that kind of has a script that goes page by page on who you contact, because most people think you contact a human resources director, but unfortunately that usually leads you in a big circle of nowhere. So there's actually wellness coordinators now in corporations that have the job of bringing speakers in. I love guerrilla, you know, marketing. I love low-cost marketing, internal referrals, and it really starts with your current patients. And I found that, you know, if you don't have to constantly feel the pressure of getting new patients, where you just have something steady, you know, you have a talk a week, but most of it comes from internal referrals, obviously that's the nicest and easiest practice that you can have, because they speak for you. And I just realized that it was all about communication, and it was opening that up, opening that gate for those people to help you. As what's the saying, that 20% of your clients refer 80% of people? Is that what it is? And that's what I found, is that those 20%, are my walking billboard. I don't have to pay anything for marketing, because I ask them. They know what my mission is. They know that my mission is to help people and to help as many people as possible, but we can't do it alone. And that's exactly what I say. I say, you know what? In just 2 weeks, you've changed your life. In 4 weeks, you've had a radical change in migraines, your attitude, energy, your relationship with your spouse. Don't you think that there are more people out there like you that need to hear this information? Whether it's somebody that you work with, your family or friends. And when you have that conviction, you're not asking for a referral. You're just asking for another warrior to help you spread the word. And that's what my clients know about me. It's just that, nope, we're helping her on this mission of really changing lives.
Right. Very well said. I like that. We're just asking for another warrior to help us share the word. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So let me ask you another question, because I know this is probably going through the doctor's mind right now watching this, because it's going through mine. What do you say? I mean, do you coach people through their talks and their presentations? Because a lot of people are like, that's great, I want to share that, but I have no idea what to say when I'm in front of somebody like that.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the most important things that I learned when I had my little one. In school, is I would do all the marketing events that I possibly could. So I would do screenings. I was just talking to the juice company owners in downtown this morning. They go, well, how did you learn this communication? I said, I stood at a mall kiosk for 8 hours a day on Saturday and Sunday.
Bless your heart.
I learned every single objection possible for chiropractic.
Yes, I bet.
That's part of the scripting with that pre-objection management. Is I also related that back to weight loss and what I market now, because it works every time. If you tell somebody, you know exactly what they're thinking, meaning, I know you think chiropractors are a quack. I know you probably went to somebody before and not gotten results. I know you probably think you have to come back for a lifetime. All these things and all the reasons why they object to it, and you meet them where they're at and you're in their head, they're like, how do you know that? And the same weight loss. I know you've probably tried every diet, every exercise program, every supplement, and you're still here, and you're back to your old habits. Why is that? We want to change that, and we want to change it forever. So the communication style, is huge. And the scripting, maybe it starts out as a script. It started out as a script for me when I was a T1 working for these doctors. I didn't know exactly how to turn it into my own passion and saying, but you learn that. The more you do it, you learn that. And there is a really good script layout that I have I call it your signature talk. Is that
for a presentation, or is that for just talking with each patient?
Both. I have them both in there. Yep.
Awesome. Wow.
Yeah. So, when you're out doing your talk, most people, we kind of love to make things complex and give a ton of statistics, and we have a huge body of our talk. But what I realized is the shorter my talks are, the better, because people have a very short attention span. I just actually read an amazing article on how I think people listen for, or they'll wait for a video to download on their phone for less than, I want to say it's 3 to 8 seconds, and if it doesn't show up, they'll click off of it.
Right.
So we have a country that's just a short attention span. They have very short attention span. So we need to get to the point. And we also, I just talked about this the other day, need to have a call to action. So many of us want to just hug our patients and love them to death and give them all this information, but we don't tell them what to do. True. Especially with prospects or new clients. They need you to guide them and tell them exactly what needs to be done. So I have scripting for external marketing events, like if you're at a booth or a trade show, what are some of the best things to do to get a person to commit to coming into your office? I mean, I always had people make a deposit, always, because the likelihood of them showing up to that appointment was huge. It's a
I,
commitment.
when,
I mean, I could schedule
abs-
50 new patients at an event, and if one of them paid to come in, it did not work.
right. Yep.
I would always have people pay and put that towards a charity. I mean, that always worked the best because it's a commitment. They come in, you're giving to a charity. You can also get into a lot of corporations, local gyms, whatever it is, saying that, hey, I'm raising money for a charity. I want to come here and educate people.
Yep.
So, that's a huge, and I teach people how to do that close. I think that's one of the hardest things is what do you do to get them to commit to actually paying that day and coming in? And there's little tiny things that I learned that are really, and I would say subconscious for people. They just need to
Yep.
be led a little bit.
Right.
So that commitment, that's huge.
Absolutely. And like I said, the close is the most important thing. I mean, you've worked so hard, you share your heart, and if you don't close, you don't finish. You're not able to help anybody. Um,
Exactly.
so this has been a phenomenal interview. And speaking of call to action, tell us about your detox. Tell us about your program and how we can get more information on it.
Well, I put my detox system together because I was living in black mold in graduate school. So in chiropractic school, my daughter and I found out I was living in black mold. So
Wow.
my health just went south really, really fast. I was having about 18 migraines a month. Nothing was helping. Yeah, it was horrible. And on top of that, I had gained about 20 pounds and I just looked inflamed, puffy. You know that word toxic, when you just feel toxic and inflamed? And I
Yeah.
had no idea why. So I sought help I went to specialist after specialist because I thought that, I mean, something had to have been wrong with how bad my migraines were. And of course, they all looked at me like, nothing's wrong with you, all your blood work is fine. So I
Yeah.
started researching chemical exposure, how it relates to inflammation in our body, and I also started researching on how toxins can affect our basically accumulation of fat.
Right.
So some good books. First of all, I just have to put this in there because everybody has to read this, especially if you want to get into nutrition. Gary Taubes, Taubes, has two books. One is called Good Calories versus Bad Calories, and the other one is called Why We Get Fat, or Why Are We Fat? I can't remember, something like that. But
Writing that down right now.
yeah, why those two are so important for people to understand or doctors to understand and read is because your clients have done the whole calories in versus calories out theory.
Yep.
They've reduced and they've increased their exercise and they're still not losing weight. And one of the reasons why is because of toxicity and chemicals. They affect those hormones that are released from the fat cell and travel to the hypothalamus in the brain and tell us that we're hungry or we're full, tell us what we crave for food, and then if we burn fat or sugar for energy all day. So if those hormones are dysregulated, it will be impossible to lose weight and to lose body fat. And
Wow.
toxins are stored in fat cells. So we will accumulate body fat to finally protect ourselves from all of these chemicals that we're exposed to. Well, I grew
Yeah.
up on a farm, a huge farm, so my pesticides levels were out of this world. And then I also had 4 huge amalgam fillings, which we all know about, so heavy metal exposure. And then living in black mold, I call it kind of the bucket finally filled up with water and overflowed.
Wow.
So I put together the system to be very easy for people because when I took people through a detox or nutrition change in my office, they were taking 20 different supplements from 10 different companies and nobody was following through. So I said, well, how do I meet people where they're at? It has to be simple, it has to be easy to implement, easy to follow, and the highest quality ingredients possible. So that's why I put together the kit, which is 3 products, and they can get more cell detox. The cell detox is a 1 week supply, and the meal replacement helps lower inflammation. It's a very high quality, non-denatured way. And that helps them to replace one of those meals of basically pure sugar that they usually eat, especially in the morning or if they're not eating breakfast.
Yep.
So, that's why I put it together along with a book. My book has over 100 gluten-free recipes, teaches them exactly what to do and how to implement the products. And I think doctors that are using the system in their office, that's why they like it. They don't have somebody asking them 30 different questions on how to start lowering inflammation, eating healthier foods. It's just simple. And it doesn't put people into a state of oxidative stress. I know a lot of companies do heavy, heavy detoxes that make people feel a lot worse. And at the end of the day, they don't want that. They want to feel better, and people do. So if they want to learn more about, doctors, if they want to learn more about my detox kit, they can go to drdelraedetox.com, which is DRDELRAE detox.com. And then I realized that I needed exercise to go with my program, because you and I know that anybody can change their diet, or one or the other, exercise or diet, but you need them both, and mindset as well, of course. But the exercise component, I decided to pair with a fitness expert who has his master's and his CSCS, and he put together an at-home resistance band system. So not only is it amazing for resistance training, because guess what? You have everything from the shake weight to insanity, right? So we know the shake weight doesn't work. We know insanity probably does, but my mom can't do insanity. My grandma can't do insanity.
Right.
P90X. So you need something in the middle. We know people need resistance training to burn fat. We know they need it for their bones and their health, but we also need it to be safe and effective and almost like a rehab program. And that's what the bands do. They're called Fit Body Bands, and they are available for wholesale for doctors, which a lot of doctors carry it in their office, can sell it for retail,